All right, get ready because today we are taking a deep dive into something that I bet you use every single day without even realizing it.
Oh, is that right?
Yep, PCIe hot plug.
Interesting.
You sent us this incredibly detailed report. It's called Understanding Hot Plug in PCI Express, and wow, it is fascinating.
It is.
This report really shines a light on how our tech has become so resilient.
It has.
So today we are going to unravel the mystery of what PCIe hot plug is.
Yeah?
We'll talk about why it's essentially the backbone of data centers and servers.
Okay.
And of course, we're going to break down how it works, both the hardware and the software side of things.
Great.
So I think the best place to start is with the problem that PCIe hot plug actually solves.
All right, let's do it.
Imagine, right, you're trying to buy something online.
Okay.
Or maybe just send a quick email and all of a sudden nothing works.
Uh-oh.
And you find out that a network card in a data center somewhere failed.
Oh, that's frustrating.
Yeah, and in the past, fixing that would have meant shutting down the entire server.
Oh, wow.
It's like putting everyone's internet activity on hold.
Yeah, not a good situation.
Not ideal at all.
Definitely not.
And that's where PCIe hot plug comes in. It lets you swap out those faulty parts while everything is still running.
So it's kind of like a Formula One pit crew, you know?
Oh, I like that.
Changing tires in the middle of a race.
Yeah,
The system stays live the whole time.
that is a great analogy.
It's all about keeping those critical systems online 24/7.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So it's not just about convenience then.
No, not at all.
It's really about preventing those frustrating internet interruptions we all dread.
Exactly.
Right, we've all been there.
Everyone's been there.
Now, let's spare a thought for the technicians who had to deal with these damages before hot plug.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Hot plug really makes maintenance and upgrades way easier for them.
So much easier. It simplifies things tremendously.
That means less complexity, fewer headaches all around.
For sure, for everyone involved.
So it seems like hot plug is bringing a much needed sense of peace of mind to these very high pressure situations.
It really is a huge improvement.
Now, here's where it gets even more interesting.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Enhanced flexibility.
Okay,
Imagine a server suddenly gets flooded with requests, right?
okay.
Maybe a popular website just went viral.
That happens all the time.
With hot plug, that server can adapt on the fly.
It can.
It can add more resources like processing power or memory to handle that increased demand.
Wow, so it's like a computer that can just grow its own brain power when it needs to.
Exactly.
That is incredible.
All right, so we both agree that hot plug is super important.
It's mission critical.
But how does this magic actually happen?
Right, let's break it down.
Okay, so let's pretend we are looking inside a computer right now.
Okay, I can do that.
What's going on in there?
Well, first of all, at the heart of it all is the hot plug controller,
Okay,
or HPC for short.
okay,
And you can think of it as the conductor of an orchestra, right?
all right.
It makes sure all the instruments are playing together in harmony.
I love that analogy.
Yeah, it really is like an orchestra.
Okay, so we've got a conductor.
Yep.
What are some of the other instruments in this tech orchestra?
Well, you've got these tiny sensors called presence detect mechanisms.
Presence detect mechanisms.
Yep, that's a mouthful.
Okay.
These mechanisms tell the system, hey, something has been plugged in, or uh-oh, something just got removed.
So they're kind of like the eyes and ears of the system.
Exactly, always keeping watch.
Okay, what else?
Then you have power control circuits, which are kind of like the safety inspectors.
Okay.
They make sure that power is being supplied and cut off smoothly.
I see.
No electrical searches to fry your precious components.
Oh, that's important.
Essential for safety and stability.
Okay, so we've got the sensors, the safety measures in place, but what about that little attention button I see on some devices?
Oh, the attention button.
Is that just for decoration?
Not at all.
Or does it actually do something?
It's like raising your hand politely before you speak.
Okay.
It allows users to signal their intent to remove a device.
That's interesting.
And this helps trigger the hot plug process in a very graceful way.
So it gives the software a little heads up.
Exactly, and it prevents any data loss.
So it's like saying, hey, just so you know, I'm about to unplug this.
Exactly, a polite way to say heads up.
I never knew that little button was so important.
It's all about smooth communication.
Okay, so we've been talking about the hardware.
Yeah.
But it's not just about the hardware doing its thing, right?
Yep.
The software plays an equally important role.
Absolute critical.
So imagine the operating system, or the OS, as the stage manager, right?
Okay.
It's coordinating everything behind the scenes.
Making sure the show runs smoothly.
Exactly.
The OS detects those hot plug events.
It does.
Calls in the right software specialists, those are the device drivers,
Okay.
and making sure everything is working together seamlessly.
So it's like the OS is reading the stage directions,
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
making sure the actors know their cues.
And that the scenery changes happen at the right time.
Now, those device drivers, think of those as the translators.
Exactly, they bridge the gap.
They allow the OS and the hardware to understand each other.
And then you have the hot plug service, working diligently behind the scenes.
So the hot plug service, that's like the backstage crew, right?
Yep, coordinating everything behind the curtain.
So we have this whole team working together. We have the hardware,
Yeah.
the software,
It's a team effort.
and the OS, making sure everyone is on the same page.
Absolutely, a well-coordinated team.
Now, I'm guessing there are different levels of hot plug, though.
Oh, you are absolutely right.
Right, some systems are going to be more advanced than others.
That's true.
So let's talk about the different tiers of hot plug support.
Okay, let's break it down.
First, you have basic hot plug, right?
Yeah, the standard package.
This lets you swap devices with minimal software fuss.
Easy peasy.
But what about the premium packages?
Ah, now we're talking.
What do those offer?
Things get really interesting here.
I'm listening.
So you have Hot Plug Surprise, or
A
HPS.
hot surprise.
It sounds more dramatic than it is.
I like the name.
But basically, it can handle unexpected device removals and insertions.
So, like, if you accidentally pull out a USB drive without safely ejecting it first?
Exactly.
Okay.
HPS steps in to prevent data loss and keep everything running smoothly.
That's super helpful.
Especially for those of us who are a bit forgetful.
I've definitely been there.
We all have.
And then there's enhanced downstream port containment, or EDPC.
Okay.
EDPC.
This is the top tier package.
Okay, so what does that give us?
It offers advanced error handling and containment.
So what does that mean?
Imagine having a security team ready to isolate a faulty device before any problems can spread to the rest of the system.
It's like damage control, right?
Exactly.
Containing the problem before it becomes a bigger issue.
That's a great way to put it.
It's all about maintaining that system stability.
That's the key.
Preventing those dreaded system crashes.
Nobody wants a blue screen.
Okay, I think we've covered a lot around here.
We have.
Let's bring it back to our listener for a second.
Sure.
You might be thinking, okay, this all sounds very technical, but how does this affect me?
Right, good question.
Well, Hot Plug is actually the unsung hero
It really is.
that keeps our digital world running smoothly.
It's the silent workhorse behind the scenes.
It's behind so much of the technology that we use every single day.
It's easy to take for granted.
So remember that online purchase you were trying to make or that email you were sending?
Oh, yeah.
Hot Plug is helping to make sure that all of that happens seamlessly without any frustrating interruptions.
It's working tirelessly behind the scenes.
Now let's talk about those massive data centers that power the internet.
Okay, yeah.
They rely heavily on Hot Plug.
They do, to ensure 2047 operation.
47, that's important.
Without it, we would be facing way more outages and disruptions.
And think about factories, right, with automated production lines.
Yeah, critical infrastructure.
Hot Plug allows for maintenance and upgrades without shutting down those critical processes.
It keeps things running smoothly.
It prevents delays and makes sure everything runs like clockwork.
It's all about efficiency and minimizing downtime.
Now, we're not just talking about data centers and factories.
Nope.
This technology is essential in so many different fields.
It really is.
Think about high-performance computing,
Okay.
medical imaging,
Yeah.
even the cars we drive.
Wow, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
All benefiting from the flexibility and the reliability that Hot Plug provides.
It really is like the backbone of modern technology.
You could say that.
But I'm guessing it's not all smooth sailing?
No, not always.
Right. There must be some challenges and complexities involved in actually implementing this.
There are, definitely.
What are some of the hurdles that engineers have to overcome?
Well, first of all, it's not as simple as just plugging things in and out.
Okay.
Timing and synchronization are absolutely critical.
Okay, I'm listening.
Imagine a complex dance routine with a lot of dancers, right?
Okay.
If one step is out of sync, the whole routine just falls apart.
That's a good way to visualize it.
And the same goes for Hot Plug.
Okay.
The hardware and the software have to work together in perfect harmony
They do.
to ensure that smooth transition when devices are added or removed.
Precision is key.
Every step has to be carefully timed.
Now, what about error handling?
Oh, that's a big one.
It's got to be pretty important.
It's essential.
In a system where devices are constantly being connected and disconnected.
You need really robust systems in place to handle those unexpected events gracefully.
So what if a device malfunctions?
Right.
Or is removed improperly?
That happens.
The system needs to be able to recover from that.
Exactly.
Without crashing or losing any data.
It's like having a safety net to catch any potential problems.
And then there's the whole issue of resource management.
Oh, yes. Resource management is a constant juggling act.
Right.
You're constantly allocating and deallocating resources, like memory and input-output addresses.
Right.
And this has to be managed very carefully.
To avoid conflicts.
Exactly. You don't want devices fighting over resources.
And, of course, there's the challenge of compatibility.
Ah, yes. Compatibility, the bane of every techie's existence.
Making sure that all these different devices and operating systems can play nicely together.
It could be a real headache.
Not all hardware and software speak the same language.
That's the problem.
So ensuring they can communicate effectively is essential.
It's crucial for smooth operation.
Now, with all this talk about plugging and unplugging devices, we have to talk about security.
Oh, absolutely. Security is paramount.
Right, because it seems like hot plug could open up some security risks.
It's a valid concern.
If it's not implemented carefully,
That's the key.
malicious device could be plugged in and potentially compromise the entire system.
It's like leaving your front door unlocked. Anyone could walk in.
So, security measures really need to be carefully considered
Absolutely, to prevent unauthorized access.
and protect that sensitive data.
That's the goal, to keep things safe and secure.
So it's a balancing act
It is a constant balancing act.
between flexibility and security.
Finding that sweet spot is the challenge.
Okay, so PCIe hot plug is clearly a powerful technology,
It is a game changer in many ways.
but also very complex.
Complex, but well worth the effort.
How does it stack up against other dynamic device management techniques out there?
That's a good question.
What's the competition like?
Well, let's start with something we all use. USB hot plug.
Okay, yeah, USB, familiar territory.
We plug in our phones, our printers, all sorts of devices using USB.
It's everywhere.
It's simple, it's convenient, but PCIe hot plug,
Okay.
it's built for much higher data speeds and more demanding applications.
Okay, so it's like USB is the bicycle of the data world,
I like that analogy.
and PCIe is the high-speed train.
Exactly, built for speed and efficiency.
Now, what about server hot swap mechanisms?
Server hot swap shares some similarities
That's-
with PCIe hot plug,
Okay,
but PCIe offers higher bandwidth,
it does.
greater flexibility in terms of the types of devices it can handle,
I see.
and more advanced features for error handling and system stability.
Okay.
It's like comparing a regular car to a Formula One racer.
Okay, that makes sense.
Both can get you from point A to point B, but the Formula One car is in a whole different league.
And what about that power-saving feature, active state power management, or ASPM?
ASPM.
How does that relate to hot plug?
Well, ASPM and hot plug are different tools for different jobs.
Okay,
ASPM focuses on conserving energy,
it does.
putting the PCIe link into a low-power state when it's not in use.
Makes sense.
Hot plug, on the other hand, is all about device swapping.
Okay,
They can work together,
they can.
but they have different goals.
Different tools for different tasks.
Exactly. It's like comparing a fuel-efficient engine
Okay.
to a quick-release tire system.
So looking ahead, what does the future hold for PCIe hot plug?
That's the big question.
Is this technology going to keep evolving?
Well, the need for reliable and adaptable technology is only going to increase.
Yeah, that's true.
So as technology advances, I expect we'll see even more sophisticated hot plug technologies emerge.
Like what?
Think faster data transfer speeds,
Okay.
more intelligent resource management systems,
Yeah.
and even more robust error handling techniques.
So it sounds like PCIe hot plug is going to play a pretty crucial role in shaping the future of computing.
It's going to be at the forefront of innovation.
It really is fascinating to think about.
It is, and it's just the beginning.
I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Me too. It's an exciting time to be in tech.
You know, it's amazing how something we rarely even think about, like plugging in a device,
Right.
actually involves such a complex system behind the
Oh,
scenes.
it really is.
PCIe hot plug is like an iceberg, right?
I like that.
There's so much more going on beneath the surface.
Yeah, it's deceptive.
That's why diving into these details is so rewarding. You get this deeper appreciation for all the ingenuity that goes into making our technology work seamlessly.
The amount of thought that goes into it is incredible.
One thing that really struck me when I
Mhm.
was reading through all the material
Okay.
was the sheer amount of attention to detail in the hardware design.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
remarkable.
Take, for instance,
Yeah.
the challenge of sudden voltage changes when a device is plugged in.
Okay.
To prevent any damage to the sensitive components,
Yeah.
engineers actually use something called AC coupling capacitors.
AC coupling capacitors.
Yep.
What do those do?
They act like these little buffers,
Okay.
smoothing out those voltage spikes,
I see.
protecting the system.
So it's like having a surge protector
Exactly.
built right into the
For
hardware.
built-in protection.
Okay, that's smart.
And then you have
Yeah.
these seemingly minor details like
Oh,
card guides
Hard guide.
and ejectors.
Okay.
They might not sound very exciting,
They don't.
but they play a crucial role
Okay.
in ensuring precise card alignment,
I see.
preventing damage during insertion and removal.
Especially in a crowded server rack.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to be forcing things in there.
No.
Risking a bent pin,
It's all about making sure those connections are secure,
secure and reliable.
reliable, like a well-designed puzzle.
Yeah, where each piece fits perfectly.
Okay.
And let's not forget about hot swap circuit.
Hot swap circuits. Okay.
These clever components,
What do they do?
they limit that initial surge of current when a device is plugged in,
Okay.
protecting the system from potential damage.
So like a safety valve.
Exactly. Regulating the flow of electricity.
It's all about layers of protection.
It really is. Redundancy is key.
Making sure the hot plug process is as smooth and safe as possible.
Smooth and safe, that's the goal.
But smooth isn't always the case, right?
Well, there are always challenges.
Remember those blazing fast NVMe drives we were talking about?
Oh yeah, those speed demons.
Those speed demons of the storage world.
They present a unique challenge when it comes to hot plug.
What makes them so tricky?
Well, unlike traditional hard drives,
Okay.
which have that layer of software and hardware isolation,
Okay.
NVMe drives are connected directly to the PCIe bus.
They're like daredevils, performing without a safety net?
It's a bit like that, yeah.
That makes it sound kind of risky.
It does add a layer of complexity.
So if something goes wrong during a hot swap,
Right.
could that impact the whole system?
Potentially, yes.
Are engineers working on ways to address this?
Absolutely. This is a cutting-edge area of research.
I bet.
As we demand faster and more efficient storage,
Yeah.
these advancements are going to be crucial.
It's fascinating how this is driving innovation
It really is.
in other areas of technology.
It's all interconnected.
Okay, so let's talk about the role of the operating system in all of this.
The OS,
It's the unsung hero, right?
it's essential to the whole process.
Working tirelessly behind the scenes.
Think of it as a vigilant watchdog,
A watchdog.
constantly monitoring the system for any changes.
So it's like it has its finger on the pulse of the system.
Exactly. Always listening for any signs of activity.
Okay, so when the OS detects a hot plug event, like a device being plugged in or removed,
Right.
what happens?
It springs into action.
It does.
Notifies the relevant device driver.
So it's like a dispatcher.
Yep, sending out the right specialist for the job.
I like that.
The driver then takes over,
It does.
initializing the device,
Okay.
allocating resources, so they're getting it ready to go.
And if a device is removed,
Right.
the OS makes sure it's unplugged safely.
Absolutely prevents data loss.
It's like a well-coordinated departure.
It is a smooth transition.
The OS is really orchestrating this entire process.
It is the conductor of the hot plug orchestra
It's making sure every step is handled with care.
and precision.
But with all this talk about drivers and events,
Yeah.
what exactly is this PCIe configuration space I keep hearing about?
Ooh, that's a good question.
It sounds mysterious.
It's not as mysterious as it sounds,
Okay.
but it is a vital part of the PCIe architecture.
Okay, so what is it?
Imagine it as a detailed inventory for each PCIe device in the system.
Okay.
This configuration space holds information about the device's capabilities,
Right.
settings, and its current status.
So it's like a device's ID card,
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
telling the system everything it needs to know.
Everything it needs to know to work with that device.
Now, this configuration space,
Yeah,
that plays a critical role in hot plug, right?
a very critical role.
So when a device is plugged in,
Okay.
what happens?
The hot plug controller updates the configuration space,
It does.
signaling to the system, hey, we've got a new player in the game.
I like that.
And when a device is removed,
Yeah.
the configuration space is updated again,
Okay.
letting the system know that the device is no longer present.
So it's like this constantly evolving map
Exactly.
of the PCIe landscape,
Keeping the system informed.
keeping the system informed about each device.
It's a beautiful example of hardware and software working together
It really is.
in perfect harmony.
Speaking of harmony,
Yep.
what about the attention button controller?
Ah, yes, the attention button controller.
What is its role in this intricate dance of hot plug?
Well, it's like the polite way of saying,
Okay.
excuse me, system, I'm about to remove a device,
Right, instead of just abruptly disconnecting it.
which could cause problems.
Yeah,
You press the attention button,
right.
and that triggers a hot plug event,
I see.
giving the OS a heads up,
Okay.
allowing it to prepare for the device's removal.
So it's like a signal flare.
Exactly, alerting the system that something's about to change.
Now, I think there's a command line tool called LSI
There is.
that can be used to actually check the status of the devices, right?
Yes, LSCI is a very handy tool.
For who?
For system administrators,
Okay.
allows them to see a list of all the PCI devices in the system,
Okay.
including their hot plug capabilities and their current status.
So it's like X-ray vision.
It's like having X-ray vision into the PCIe architecture.
So if you press that attention button
Right.
and then run OPSI,
You can actually see the event being registered by the system.
you can.
The status of the device change.
That's really cool.
It's a great way to monitor what's happening.
Well, I talked a lot about servers and data centers,
Yeah.
where hot plug is obviously a very critical feature.
Mission critical.
What about consumer devices?
Good question.
Like our everyday laptops and desktops?
Right. What about them?
Do they use hot plug?
Well, you might not see the full complexity of PCIe hot plug in those systems.
Okay.
But the core principles are definitely there.
They are.
Think about plugging in a USB device into your laptop.
Okay, yeah, we do that all the time.
That's a sound of hot plug,
It is.
even though it might not be as sophisticated as PCIe.
So the convenience of hot plug extends beyond the server room,
It does. It's all around us.
making its way into our daily lives.
It's become an integral part of modern computing.
And in some consumer systems,
Yeah.
you might encounter something called synthetic devices.
Synthetic devices, interesting.
What are those?
These are software constructs that act as placeholders
Placeholders.
for devices that could be plugged in later.
So it's like having a reservation at a restaurant.
Oh, I like that analogy.
The table is waiting even if the guest hasn't arrived yet.
Yeah, the system's ready.
Even if the BIOS doesn't fully support hot plug.
Right.
These synthetic devices can provide a certain level of functionality
You can.
that allows for some device swapping without rebooting.
So it's a workaround
It's a workaround.
to provide some degree of flexibility.
It's remarkable how the principles of hot plug
Yeah.
have permeated so many different areas of computing.
It's a testament to its versatility.
One of the most powerful servers.
to our everyday devices.
It really is.
It's all about making technology more user-friendly.
I mean, it's so cool how this push for better tech ends up in all these devices we use.
It really is.
Even if we don't see all the complexity of PCIe hot plug in our laptops,
Right.
those core ideas are still there. It's
Yeah.
what makes everything run smoothly.
Exactly, and that's what makes understanding these technologies so valuable.
Mm.
You know, it's like getting a backstage pass to how the digital world works.
Totally.
Even if you're not a tech expert,
For sure.
you can still appreciate it.
You know, comparing PCIe hot plug to USB hot plug
Yeah.
got me thinking about the bigger picture
Okay.
of dynamic device management.
Okay, yeah.
There's this trend
There is
toward systems that are more adaptable
more adaptable.
and responsive to change.
Absolutely.
You see it everywhere.
I do.
PCI hot plug is a perfect example of that in action.
It really is.
It helps us move away from those rigid systems.
The inflexible ones.
Yeah, and embrace a more fluid and adaptable approach.
Much more modern.
It's like the difference between a traditional building, right,
Okay.
and a skyscraper.
All right, I'm following you.
The static building might seem strong,
Yeah,
but it's not very resilient to unexpected forces.
that's true.
But a skyscraper can flex
Yeah.
and adapt,
It's designed to
making it much more resistant to change.
it can handle the stress.
This shift toward dynamic systems.
Yeah.
It's not just in computing.
No, it's everywhere.
Think about the power grid.
Okay.
We're moving toward a smart grid
We are.
that can adjust to all the fluctuations in energy.
It can adjust in real time.
Yeah, to the supply and
It
demand.
has to.
It can handle renewable energy sources,
It can.
changing weather patterns.
You're all of that in real time.
And in manufacturing,
Yeah,
you see the rise of flexible factories.
they do.
They can just quickly reconfigure production lines
Exactly, on the fly.
to produce a variety of products,
Yep.
to adapt to the changing customer demand.
That's the key.
Incredible speed and efficiency.
That's what it's all about.
It's about agility,
Response.
being able to adjust.
Yeah, to a constantly changing
That's
world.
the name of the game.
PCIe hot plug embodies this trend.
It's a prime example, showing us that we can build systems that are powerful.
And adaptable.
It's like having a toolbox, right?
Okay.
Full of specialized tools,
Yeah, I got it.
but instead of physical tools,
Right.
we're talking about software and hardware
Working
to
together.
handle all these dynamic
A
changes.
symphony of technology.
As technology keeps evolving,
Yeah.
this idea of adaptable modular system
Yeah.
is going to be even more important.
Absolutely crucial.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today
We have
in this deep dive
a very deep dive
into PCIe hot plug,
from the
to
basics.
the technical details.
We've seen it all.
We've even talked about the implications for the future of computing.
It's been a fascinating discussion.
I hope our listener
I hope so too.
has gained a new understanding
And a new appreciation.
for this technology.
That's the goal.
That's often hidden behind the scenes,
It is.
but plays such a vital role.
Absolutely essential.
But before we wrap up, I want to
All right.
revisit something.
Okay.
The potential security risks of hot plug?
Right.
It's kind of unnerving.
It's a concern.
To think that someone could exploit that flexibility,
To compromise a system.
compromise a system.
It's a valid concern.
So are there safeguards in place?
Oh, absolutely. Security is a top priority.
Okay, good.
There are multiple layers of protection built in.
Like what?
One crucial safeguard
Yeah.
is something called DMA protection,
DMA protection.
or direct memory access protection.
Okay, how does that work?
Imagine giving someone direct access to your bank account.
I don't even want to imagine that.
That's essentially what DMA allows certain devices to do
Okay,
with system memory.
okay.
It bypasses the CPU for faster data transfer.
So it's good for performance.
It is.
But
But it can be a security vulnerability.
it's like giving someone the keys to the vault.
It's a bit like that.
So DMA protection, what does it do?
It prevents unauthorized devices from using DMA,
I see.
limiting their access
Limiting their access.
to the system.
so they can't cause any harm.
Exactly. It's like having a security guard.
Standing watch over your valuables.
Protecting your assets.
That makes me feel a lot better.
No, it should.
Sounds like there are some robust security measures
There are.
to mitigate those risks.
And they're constantly evolved.
As technology advances.
We have to stay ahead of the bad guys.
Okay, well, I think that brings us to the end
I think so.
of our deep dive into PCIe hot plug.
It's been a journey.
It's been an incredible journey.
Filled with a lot of information.
A lot of insights and discovery.
Hopefully it's been enlightening.
So, to our listener,
Yeah, to our listeners.
I hope you've enjoyed this deep dive.
As much as we have.
PCIe hot plug might not be the most glamorous topic,
It's not the flashiest.
but it's a fantastic example of brilliant engineering
An innovative design.
that makes our technology more reliable.
More flexible.
And ultimately more user-friendly.
That's the goal.
And who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Maybe someday soon. We'll be talking about hot plugging.
Hot plugging?
Entire modules in our homes or cities.
Now that would be something.
It's a wild thought.
It is. The future is full of possibilities.
Until next time.
Yeah, until next time.
Keep exploring.
Keep that curiosity alive.
Curiosity is key.